Hello, my name is Tilda Curly Art, and this is my very first video on this YouTube channel. Today I'm gonna try my best to replicate other YouTube artists' art styles as best as I can. I got the idea from Ergo Josh, who made a similar video not too long ago on his channel, where he broke down and tried to mimic SamDoesArts' art style. It's an amazing video that I definitely think you should go and check out. Today I'm replicating 3 different art styles. The first one is SamDoesArts himself. The second one is the color dodge king, RossDraws. And lastly, the famous Ethan Becker. So, without further ado, let's get right into this video. So, I begin by trying my best to mimic SamDoesArts' style by looking through his Instagram as a guideline. I had chosen a reference picture from Pinterest beforehand, which is what I'm drawing throughout this video. As I studied Sam's art style, I noticed a few things, which is what makes his style so recognizable. First of all, he leaves his sketch lines visible in the final piece. I also remember Sam saying he always starts painting the background first, so that's what I did. I then continued by blocking in all of the flat colors before getting into the details. I have been a huge fan of Sam for a while now, and it was truly an experience to try to replicate his art style. I feel like I learned a lot by studying it. Especially since I never draw backgrounds. It seemed like something so specific when it came to his style, so I just had to include it. And even though it was quite a simple background, I still kinda like the way it turned out. I'm currently getting more and more focused on the details of the painting, perfecting the eyes and the mouth and so on. Surprisingly, it took about only 1 hour and 30 minutes for me to finish this, which I did not expect at all. But overall, it was really fun. Replicating SamDoesArts' art style was definitely an experience. I actually think I did a pretty good job. What do you think? Next on the list, we got RossDraws, and oh my god, was this hard. At first glance, I suppose the characteristics of his art style are quite noticeable. Things like the way he draws eyes, noses, hair, face shape, as well as his famous color dodge. But seeing and doing are 2 totally different things. I've been a fan of Ross for several years now, and his fantastic art skills never fails to amaze me to this day. By watching his videos, I noticed how he started by sketching in a pinkish red color. I also noticed quite a lot of his paintings on Instagram were cut off at the chest, which is what I decided to do here. To be honest, it was quite a lot of fun to try this style out, but in contrast to my try at SamDoesArts' art style, which only took 90 minutes, this one took me over 3 hours to complete. 3 hours! To say I was tired was an understatement. Ross' style of drawing is much more clean than Sam's, which is most likely why I spend so much more time on it than on my first one. Don't take me wrong, Sam's art style is absolutely stunning, but the way he paints is somewhat more free and loose, if that makes sense. Ross's art style is much more precise. Everything's just so smooth and perfect. One of the hardest things for me was probably the eyes, to make them look so soft and yet rendered. It was a struggle, to say the least. It would have been a lot harder if I wasn't able to use the liquify tool though. It's seriously a digital artist's best friend. For those who don't know, the liquify tool can be used to move around and change the picture without having to redraw everything. I think I used it at least 3 times while working on this painting. I was quite happy with my sketch, but since I was supposed to replicate RossDraws art style as best as I possibly could, I used liquify to change the proportions of the face to match his aesthetic a little bit better. Like I said before, I've been a fan of Ross for years, and there's most likely no one in the art community on YouTube and Instagram that doesn't know his name. All 3 of the artists whose style I'm mimicking today, SamDoesArts, RossDraws and Ethan Becker, are all people I look up to and admire. As someone who wants to succeed within the art industry, they are a huge inspiration to me. One thing I learned is that art styles can be like signatures. Just by looking at a painting, you immediately know who made it. The topic of art styles has been around for a long time, and it's something many artists, myself included, have thought about a lot. What is my art style? Do I even have an art style? How do I get one? These are just a few examples of the questions we ask ourselves. I'm kind of still on my journey to find an art style I would call my own signature, so to speak. But I know it's not something to be stressed about, though. It'll come eventually. Usually they say your art style is a mix between your favorite artist's styles, as well as all of the things that inspire you and that you like. And then you just put all of those into a bowl, mix them all together, and you'll get your own Frankenstein art style that's unique to only you. Anyway, we reached the end of my attempt to replicate RossDraws style. Did I succeed? Lastly, I'll try to mimic Ethan Becker's art style. First of all, he uses lots of shapes and quite sharp edges. The muscles on the body are quite pronounced and the faces are very strong. On first glance at his art, the first thing that comes to my mind is strength. Strong characters, if you know what I mean. I also quite like the angular look he has when he draws. It's very interesting. Right now, I'm still in the sketching phase, trying to figure out what goes where and how I'm supposed to translate the reference picture into this very unique art style. Once I'm done, I'm moving into line art. I'm trying to make it look clean, using as little lines as possible to get that look. So far, I'm actually quite happy with how it's going. Another thing I found quite interesting while doing this is how different the results ends up being, even though I used the exact same reference picture for them all. But once again, that's what makes this so fun. Have you tried this before? If so, what did you think? And which one out of these 3 art styles do you like the most? Comment down below so I can read your answers. Also, did you know Ethan Becker has worked on Voltron? Amazing, right? I'm such a fan of that show. And to be honest, I think it's pretty visible in his work. Now I'm coloring in the flats before I start doing the cell shading. In contrast to the other 2 styles, this one was the easiest when it came to the coloring stage, but much harder to mimic in a sense. It's so stylized, it's hard to get away with small mistakes. But anyway, here is the finished results. I think it turned out pretty good, if I do say so myself. Now we've reached the end of this video. I really hope you liked it. If you want, you can follow me on my Instagram and Twitter at @TildaCarlyArt. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to leave a like if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!